Hi everyone. Okay, so something that really just makes me quite angry is a little law called Don't Ask, Don't Tell, which is in force in the American Armed Forces. So, number one, I think is kind of a contradictory law. Okay, basically, there's the don't ask part of it. Now, the army, they want to know everything about you, down to a memory you had when you were 2. They want to know the number of white blood cells in your body, you know. They want to know everything about you. So, how they could ask you to leave out such a huge part of your life really just confuses me. So, they're not supposed to ask you, and you're not supposed to tell them. But here's something else. Lying to them is grounds for a dishonourable discharge. Now, number one, that's a contradiction as well, because I don't know how you can be honourably or dishonourably discharged from something when you never joined it. If you are still in the recruitment stage of something, you never joined. So that's a contradiction. But basically, I'm going to give you the definition, because I have done research. I'm going to give you the definition of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. This policy prohibits anyone who demonstrates a propensity or intent to engage in homosexual acts from serving in the armed forces of the United States. Because, okay, and this is a real kick in the teeth, because it would create an unacceptable risk to the high standards of moral, good order and discipline and unit cohesion that are the essence of military capability. What an insult! They're saying that gay people are not ethical or morally good and don't live up to their standards. The Act prohibits any homosexual or bisexual person from disclosing his or her sexual orientation or from speaking about homosexual relationships, including marriage. So basically, well, it's not like that's going to happen anyway. This law is just filled with contradiction, because you're not allowed to get married in the US. Maybe they forgot to mention that. But how can you talk about a marriage when you're not allowed to get married? Yeah, confuses me too. But anyway, so you're not allowed to talk about the happiest thing that has probably ever happened to you. Of course, if you're in America, it won't happen to you. So, let's see. You're not supposed to talk about it while you're in the United States Armed Forces. The don't ask part of the policy indicates that superiors should not initiate investigations of a service member's orientation in the absence of disallowed behaviours, though mere suspicion of homosexual behaviour can cause an investigation. So, let's see. Let's say, okay, there's this situation, okay? You're taking the mick out of gay people, and you wink at a guy and go, hey, hey, sexy, looking good. Oh yeah, bring it over here. Okay, is that enough to start an investigation? Clearly, you know, it's a homosexual act. A guy flirting with a guy. Would that cause an investigation? You can just imagine that. Okay. Now, I also looked at the history on this law, and it turns out that in the policy, they wrote the following statement. Homosexuality, okay, wait for this. Homosexuality is incompatible with military service. The presence in the military environment of persons who engage in homosexual conduct or who, by their statements, demonstrate a propensity to engage in homosexual conduct seriously impairs the accomplishment of the military's mission. So, they're basically saying, yeah, come and protect our country, okay? We don't give a rat's ass about you. We won't let you marry the love of your life, and, you know, we discriminate you wherever you go, and, you know, you could even be killed for just being something that you can't change. I also looked at the timeline, and homosexuals in the army were given a blue ticket. Okay, how discriminatory is this? A blue ticket is basically where they were denied GI Bills. If you were given a blue ticket, then you were denied help for your education, and you were denied the financial support that most soldiers receive a year after they leave the army. But what's the difference in having a blue ticket? What's the amazing thing? It's not dishonorable, but it's not honorable. So basically, this policy is don't ask, don't tell, but don't lie to us. Okay? We won't ask you about, we won't say, are you gay? And if you tell us, we're not going to write it down. But we will ask you about memories from pre-birth. We'll ask you about details from your conception. Yeah, we'll ask you how you conceived. We'll ask you how you thought your journey, how you thought the environment of the womb was. We'll ask you all that, but we won't ask you about your sexuality. And you won't tell us, because if you tell us, then we are going to discriminate against you. Yeah. Bear that in mind. But at the same time, lying to army personnel is grounds for a dishonourable discharge. Yeah, that's right. If you lie to them and say, oh yeah, I'm straight, then you could be discharged. But if you said, I'm gay, you can be discharged. I'm sorry, but where are your options, people? The only good thing I have to say about this is President Barack Obama, who said changes his policy. He wants to get rid of the don't ask, don't tell policy, so let's give him a round of applause. Unfortunately, turns out that the president doesn't have the power. Okay, he doesn't have the power to get rid of this policy. That lies in Congress, the American Congress, and apparently they don't want to do it. But he wants to get rid of it by 2010, which is a delay, but if they get rid of it, they get rid of it. But bottom line, it's a contradiction, okay? We won't ask you, but we will ask you. It's don't tell us, but please tell us. And it's don't lie, but lie to us. I don't know how you can ask somebody something and then say, I didn't ask. I don't know how you can tell somebody something and say, I didn't tell. And I don't know how you can say, I didn't lie when you had to lie. Do you know what would make this law fair? Okay, if they made it so that heterosexual people had to follow this rule as well. You don't want to hear about them being happily married. We don't want to hear about your happy marriage. You don't want us to talk about our adopted kids. Well, if you don't want to hear about our adoptive kids who we fought for, you just had sex and had them, we don't want to hear about your kids. So bottom line, maybe the don't ask and don't tell rule should be applied to straights. You don't want to know we're gay? We don't want to know you're straight.